sunshine I gotta love, and I know that it's all mine. Oh,
Hi there, my name is Hillary, and this is the second video in my series of tutorials on how to use Revit. In the first video, we covered interface basics and beginner troubleshooting, and in this video, we are going to cover how to model a simple building from start to finish. So we're going to start by clicking New, Architectural Template. Okay. So to begin, we're just going to set up some views that we don't already have when we open the generic architectural template. So I'm going to start by creating a section. I'm going to click View, Section, and then I'm going to click twice, once to begin drawing, and then a second time. In order to get out of the tool that we're using, I can either click Modify or I'm going to click Escape on my keyboard. Now you can see that the section has appeared in my project browser. I'm just going to rename that NS for North-South. I'm going to create a 3D view as well. I can click here, or I'm going to click on this house icon. My 3D view is here. Now I'm going to click on an elevation so that I can see my levels that are automatically generated in the project. And I can see I have one level and level 2. So here are my levels. And I can see that my section, I can see how high it's going, so I'm just going to drag it down. Now I'm going to add another level. I can do that by copying and pasting this, or I can array this one, but I'm going to draw one from scratch. So I'm going to click Architecture, and I'm just going to use this level, and I'm going to click once, and then twice. And you'll notice that there's a lot of automatic snaps that happen in Revit. So it let me kind of align these. I'm going to click Escape. I'm just going to adjust the height of one of my levels to show you how to do it. So I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to click on the number. Because this box came up, I can tell that this number is now editable, and I'm going to make this 9,000. Super tall. Now I'm going to show you how to create a grid. This little simple building is just going to be a little mock-up to show you how to use the tools, so it's not going to resemble a real building at all. I'm just going to go to level 1, and I'm going to click this grid tool. Now, like most tools, you have to click twice. So I'm going to click once to start, and then again, I'm going to click Escape, and then I'm going to create another grid line like this, and click Escape, and Escape again. So now you can draw even more grids by arraying. So I'm going to click on this grid line, and I'm going to click on the Array tool. And then I have all of these options here. It says number 2, so I can change that number if I want it to array, let's say 20 times. So this button is asking if I want to specify the distance to the second grid line, or I can specify the distance to the last grid line. So I'm going to specify the second, and I'm going to say that this is going to be 4 meters apart. Enter. Now, if I wanted to, I can change this number at any time. So now I can change it to be 4, click Enter, and it'll multiply. And if you ever want to ungroup an array, you just click on it and say ungroup, and it will no longer be attached to that. Now, if we're going to create a column, I'm just going to click on a column here. And now if I highlight so that both the grid lines are highlighted blue, and then I click, that means that that column is always going to snap to those 2 grid lines. So I can move those grid lines, and that column will always move, which is really handy, especially if you're going to build a tower, because your structure can always be edited really quickly. I'm going to click Escape. Now I got this notification that this element was not visible in this floor plan. You're going to get warnings all the time. It's nothing to worry about if it's a warning. If it's an error, you have to worry about it a little bit more. I'm going to just double click on my 3D view to see where my column is. And when I open this, I see that my building is I can't see anything, so I'm going to type ZE, and now it just zoomed to my column. Now if I click on my column, I can see in the properties where it was placed. So I'm not really sure why it's so low. That must have been from settings that I had before. I'm going to say that it goes from level 1 with a base offset of 0 to level 3. I just have to change that one first. And now I'm just going to move my mouse off of the properties panel and it will adjust. So now that this column is going through level 1, I should be able to see it in my floor plan. There it is. So in a real building, you'd keep going with your structure, but I'm just going to move on to show you how to draw a wall. So I'm going to click on this wall tool. And now you'll see that it opened the Modify tab. And my wall information is right here. So I'm going to say that my wall is going to go from level 1 up to level 3. And these are all of the tools that I can use to draw a wall. So I'm just going to go like this. And you can see that the snaps are really helpful. You can draw your walls as curves as well. So I'm just going to use this curve tool. Click once, click again, and then I can do this. Now I'm going to click escape and escape again. So now if I go to my 3D view, it looks like this. I'm just going to change this to be a shaded view. Lovely. Now I'm going to go back to my floor plan and I'm going to add a floor. I'm going to click this floor tool. I'm just going to make it an architectural floor. And there's this handy little tool that says pick walls. So I'm going to use that. And floor slab is going to be at level 1. Perfect. I'm going to click the green check mark to finish it. There we go. And now if I want to select it, let's say I'm hovering over this wall, but I want to select the floor. If you can't automatically select something, but you know your mouse is in the right place, you're just going to tab. So now it's selecting the chain of walls, tab again, now I'm selecting the floor. I'm going to click it and I can say edit boundary. And now I can change this floor outline if you want. The pink is when you're editing something. Now I'm going to just move my section so that it's going through my whole building. I'm just extending it here. And now I'm just going to double click on it to open it. So if yours doesn't look like this, there's a box around here, which is the crop region. So I can get rid of that and I won't have it anymore. So now I want to have a second floor. So I can redraw it, or I can just copy and paste it, or I can array it. So I'm going to, you can use the little copy tool, or I'm going to say Control Z, Control V, and then you can see where you're moving it. I'm going to make sure that is straight up, and then I'm going to click there. Doesn't matter that it's not perfectly aligned. I'm going to click off, and now I'm going to make sure that there is no offset, like this. So now it's perfectly at level 2. Now I'm going to add a roof. So I'm just going to go to level 2. It doesn't really matter where you go to, but I want to be able to see those walls. And I'm going to click the roof tool. There's a bunch of different options for your roof. These are the parts of the roof, the gutter, fascia, and soffit. These are your normal roof tools, different ways to make a roof. I'm just going to say roof by footprint. And now I'm going to use the pick walls tool again, but this time I'm going to add an overhang. So let's say 300 millimeters. And then I'm going to leave it as defines slope, but you can unclick that and your roof will be flat. So I set this overhang So as you can see, the dotted line is where my roof is going to go. So right now, if I'm click where it is right now, the overhang is going to be inside, so I'm going to have a gap. I want to make sure that it's going to be on the outside like that. And again. Now I'm going to click escape just to show you. And now if I click here, you can see that all of these, when I drew them, had a slope of 30. What if I change this to 0? We'll see what happens. Now, another thing that you need to know when you're drawing something like this is if you're not clicking escape enough times, it's going to want you to keep drawing. So for example, if I draw like this, and then I think I'm out, and then I go like this, I just drew on top of that line. And so it gives me this error saying highlighted lines overlap. I'm going to click escape. It also turned orange when there was an error. I'm going to click escape again. And now if I were to click the green check mark, it's going to give me an error because my line is not closed, a closed loop, because your roof needs to be a closed loop. So I'm going to say continue. And I'm just going to delete those lines that I just drew. And now it should be a closed loop. I can also always tell if a loop is closed by hovering over it and clicking tab, and it will show me that this is one chain of lines. So I'm going to click the green check mark, and I didn't get any errors. That's great. I'm going to double click on the 3D view again. So my roof right now, it looks like it had an issue creating those slopes that I asked for. So I'm just going to first move it. So here's my roof. You'll notice it's actually on top of the floor right now because we drew it on level 2. So I can tab through. And so right now this is the floor. If I click tab, there it's the roof. I'm going to say that it is on level 3. And then I guess it got confused when I said that I want this to be at 0. So we can just change that, and we can edit in 3D view. I'm just going to change this to be 45. I'm just making this up as I go, so let's hope for the best. Okay, there we go. So now this angle is 45, and all of these angles are 30. The reason why I went flat before was I guess it's impossible to make a shape that's 30 and then 0 here. That makes sense now that I think about it. So Revit decided that that was impossible, and so it just resorted to making it flat. So now I have this closed shape. I'm just going to orbit by holding Shift and the scroll wheel. Beautiful. And I'm going to create a section box by clicking here, moving my mouse off of that properties panel. I can click on this box and I can just drag through here. Make sure you're not accidentally clicking on something like this. If I go to drag it, I'm moving things. Sorry, I just clicked Control Z. I'm going to bring this through the building, and now I can see that my floor is there. Awesome. So now I'm going to go to level 1 again, and I'm going to show you how to make stairs. Now the stairs tool in Revit is a little bit hard to edit. It's not that intuitive, and it's hard to make something come to life when you already have a vision, but making stairs that go from one floor to the next floor is actually pretty easy. So I'm just going to click on the stair tool. And you can see already it knows I want it to go from level 1 to level 2. And this is where it gets a little bit odd. It has a desired number of stairs that it's calculated, and then an actual riser height, actual tread depth. And so it's a little bit interesting, but actual run width, so you can set this, I'm going to make it 900. So now I'm just going to click once, and then I'm going to click a second time. So now I'm going to click the check mark, and I'm going to go to my 3D view, and you can see that they are there. So if I change this to wireframe, you can see that my stairs are here. I'm going to go back to level 1. I'm going to click on the stair tool again. I'll make another stair, This time, yeah, sure, we'll make it 1000. So I'm going to just show you how to make another stair. If I want, for example, to be an L, I'm going to click once. It's showing me, it's predicting how long it's going to be. I'm going to click again, and then I'm going to move my mouse over here, click once, and then click again. And I'm just going to drag until it reaches that final number. Click, and then there you go. Now you have a corner stair. And the reason why I did this was because I didn't measure and I didn't really obey the snaps. So when you're originally drawing your stair, you want to make sure that you're obeying those snaps, but I can always edit it. I'm just going to use this move tool. I'll move this guy down a little bit. Again, I'm not measuring, but that's how that works. And now I'm going to click the green check mark. I'm going to click on this 3D view again. And now you can see, oh, our section box is cutting too far through. So now you can see that stair turns. I'm just going to delete this one. I'm just going to edit this floor boundary now so that we're not hitting our head on the floor above when we're going up the stairs. So I'm going to say edit boundary. And then in, let's say, level 2, I'm just going to use the line tool. And I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to click once and then again, and then I'm going to click escape twice. So now I'm going to use the align tool, which the align tool works so you click where you want to be and then you click what you want to move. So I'm going to click this and then I'm going to click here and that line will just jump. Now I'm going to use the trim and extend tool right here. The hotkey is TR. I use that very often. And then this one as well works on you click what you want to keep. So I'm going to click once here and then a second time, and you'll see that it trimmed and extended at the same time. Whereas if I click here and then here, it's going to jump like that. Now I'm going to click escape once to get out of that trim and extend tool. I'm going to click on this line and click delete. And now I'm just going to click on the green check mark to finish this floor. I'm just going to go to the 3D view to check our work. You'll find that I go back and forth between 3D views very often. I think that's really important to understand how your building is going together spatially instead of when you go to check on your building at the end after doing lots of tasks and you realize things are totally wrong and didn't do what you thought they did. So I'm just going to change it to shaded, the shaded view. I can do that here, or I can just use the hotkey SD. Which I guess when you highlight over these ones, they don't have the hotkeys, but hidden line is HL, shaded is SD, and wireframe is WF. I'm just going to click on this section box again, and I'm going to pull through here, and you can see that that looks great. So it's not as obvious here, but it might be more obvious when you have varying wall heights, but our walls don't perfectly connect with our roof. So I'm just going to click on the wall and then I'm going to say attach top base. And now I'm going to click on the roof and it did that. So we can do that for all of our walls. And again, if you think you should be clicking on it and you're hovering over the area, you can just click tab and then you can select it. And our last wall. Okay, so now they're joined properly. Much better. So now we're going to add some windows and doors. So we can just go to architecture and then window. And now we have this drop-down menu of all of these windows and their different sizes. Now you can also go to load family and you have all of these categories. Now because we're in the window family tool right now, we can only really click on windows. And there's all these options. I believe when I downloaded this version of Revit, it had an issue with downloading the full library. So when I click on these folders for the library, there's often more, there will probably be more options for you in some of the folders. And you can get the little images of it like this by clicking on it. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to click open. Now that family has been added to my list of windows. So I can click on one of these options. And now when I go like this, my mouse has that window attached, and I can place it in 3D or I can place it in plan. So I'm just going to click here. I can place them wherever I want. You can even place them on those curved walls. Beautiful. So now I can always use the align tool as well, or the move tool, by clicking on modify. So let's say I want all of these windows to be aligned. I can use the align tool, tab, see I'm hovering over that bottom line, and there, and then it jumps. I can click escape. Or if I know what the base offset is, let's say make it 1900, I can select a whole bunch of these windows by saying Control and then selecting, and they will select more than one. And then I can say the sill height is 1900. That's really tall, but that's fine. So now if I switch to a floor plan view, you should be able to see these windows in plan. So for some reason you can't, and that's probably because our view range is set to too high or too low. And the view range is where your plan is cutting. So it's sort of like a sideways section, so where it's cutting and then how far down it's looking. So I'm just in the properties are just for my floor plan because I'm not selecting anything. I'm just going to click on view range, click edit, and then maybe this needs to be higher. So I'm going to say it's cutting it this high and like this really high. So now you can see our windows are in plan. Awesome. So now I'm going to add a door in, and I can add that again in 3D, or I'm going to add it in plan. So I'm going to click architecture, door. And then same thing, you have these doors here, or you can load in family from the existing library. I'm going to click once, and then I'm going to click escape. And again, so for some reason it didn't show up very well. It's probably because our view range is now cutting too high. So I'm going to change this to be lower. Okay, and now our door is here, and our windows went away. So now I can change the direction of the door, so I can flip it like this and like this. I'm just going to show you, we can add a railing as well to our second floor. I'm going to double click on this floor plan, and I'm just going to change it to be shaded by typing SD, just so that this really reads as a floor and then nothing. I'm going to click architecture, and then I'm going to click railing, and then it's super easy. I'm just going to use this pick lines tool, and I'm going to click here. I'm going to click check mark, and now we have a railing there. I actually need to make it break right here, so I'm going to say edit path, and I'm going to align this end to here. And then I'm going to click the green check mark. So I can't draw the second line here because it needs to be only one line, as you can see. So I'm going to click escape, get rid of that, and I'll just have to draw a second railing on the other side. So I'm going to click check mark. And now in 3D, again, I can type wireframe, WF, and there it is. So I can actually change this railing type as well, this or the glass panel. And I'm just going to go back to floor plan where that railing is. And in order to duplicate it really quickly, I'm just going to mirror it using that mirror tool. Click once to start drawing the line, click again. And now my railing is going way too far out. I can click edit path, or I can double click. And I'm going to use the align tool. Again, click once, and then this is the end of that line. There we go. And now I'm going to click the green check mark. There we go. Now I have both of those railings. I'm going to show you how to add in components. So I'm going to click architecture and I'm going to click component. And this is where you get lots of furniture. So loaded in automatically, I have this desk, parking space, and tree. So we can load in another family and let's add in some furniture. I'm going to say beds. Ew. I'm going to add in this bed. And I'm going to go to level 2. And I'm going to just click component again to get into that. And then I have this double bed. And then I have different sizes here. I'm going to make it a queen because we have a giant house. And I can place it like that. Now you can tell when I placed it, it is on level 2, which is perfect. Now if I want to rotate it, I'm just going to use the rotate tool, and then I can do this. Now another thing I forgot to mention when we were drawing walls or when we're drawing anything is whenever there's a bold blue dimension, like you see here, the angle is bold, that means that it is an active dimension. So I'm going to type in 90 to make sure that it is perfectly 90 degrees, and I'm going to click enter. And now I'm going to use the align tool again, and I'm just going to click this face of the wall and then make that jump. And then I'm going to click modify to get out of that. Amazing. And now I'm also going to add in that desk that was there as well. That. And let's add in something else for fun. Component, load family, furniture, seating, open. Now I've got a couch. I'm just going to rotate this 90 degrees and align it here. And then I can always mirror this as well. And a second one will appear. So I think that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Just giving you an idea of how to use all of the most basic building elements. So just as a final task, I'm going to show you how to make a sheet. So I'm going to right click on my sheet, click new sheet. You can load in title blocks as well. I'm just going to use this one, click OK. Now it's going to open, and now if I click plus, you can see my various sheets. Now I'm going to just drag any of the views and place them right on the sheet. Now the scale is right here. Beautiful. I'll get into this a little bit more in a later video, but I don't use the sheets when making presentation drawings because Revit is fairly limiting. But let's say you do need to use the sheets. There are ways to edit them so that they don't look like you just threw views on a generic sheet, because that doesn't look very good. So you can add line weights, you can block things out and add elements that are only in 2D drawings that aren't in your 3D drawings, etc. So if I just want to change how big this view window is, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to click all 3 of these. And now I'm just going to double click on here, and I'm going to just move this guy in a lot more. And as you can see, as I adjust this, all of the annotations, which are if I have lines drawn or grid lines, those are the annotations, they kind of come and crop nicely around the view. And now if I double click out, it will go away. And now I've decided that I actually don't want this crop region, this black line around it. So I'm going to unclick crop region visible, and that goes away. And now my title is all the way down here, and I want that to be on the page. This is a little bit finicky. If I just click this, it's going to move like that. So I can't be clicked on here. I have to just click on the title, and then it will let me move it. It's annoying. And then if I click on the view again, if I want to adjust these circles, I can do it now. And then if I double click into here, I'm actually in the view, it's live. So if I want to change something, like if I want this section to only go through this far, I can change that in here. This is actually updating the project. And then all of this is the project information, which you can find under Manage Project Information. So I'm just going to throw on a section as well on this view. I'm going to drag and drop it here. And sure, it's going to be that tiny. And as you can see, these numbers appear automatically. So there you go. And now I've actually decided that I want my crop line to be bold, to be filled. So I'm just going to double click. So now I'm in the section. I'm going to type VV, which is Visibility Graphics. I'm going to say all. So I'm in model categories right now. I'm going to say all. And then my cut pattern, I want to override it and I want to make it black. And I want to make it solid. Okay. So now you have a fill. And now I'm just going to, again, double click to get out of there. So there you go. And let's say I don't want these grid lines to show up in this plan. I'm going to double click in. I'm going to type VV on my keyboard, go to annotation categories, and those are grid lines. So I can get rid of grid lines, or I can say all and get rid of everything, but I still want that section to show. So I'm just going to click sections. Okay. So now everything except for the section has disappeared of the annotation categories. And again, I need to double click out maybe a couple times to get out of that view. Okay, so I think that's it for this tutorial. Thank you so much. And in the next video, we can look at how to start a design studio project from scratch. Thank you. See you next time.
For the sunshine, I gotta love, and I know that it's